Once again, thank you for being here, and I will introduce our first speaker this evening. Our first lucky lady to take the stage is Gina Terwilleger Mercado. And I don't have bios memorized, so I'm going to just read the first couple lines. Gina is an author, a poet, and a tutor whose work sits at the intersection of story, learning, and healing. And I really don't need to say anything else, because when you hear her talk, you will see exactly what I mean by that. So without further ado, Gina, please come up here. Everyone welcome Gina to the stage. There you go. All right, my dear.
All right, I'm just going to put this guy right here, maybe? How's that? Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay. Okay, so I need to start with a quick calming technique that I've developed for my students, but I sort of need for myself. Just let me get through that real quick. Shoreline. I sat along the river, gentle waves lulling my thoughts, grains of soft sands rubbing my heels as I watched some ducks dive and resurface, dive and resurface, dive and resurface like the swirl of ideas and conversations, emotions breaking the shoreline of my life. It's been like that for me, a watching, a waiting, as I work to assemble parts of me into wholeness. I'm confident and capable, yet uncertain and self-doubting. I'm quiet and gentle, yet required to be assertive and persistent. I'm intelligent and creative, yet need to belong and be loved. When I was in first grade, I had what I thought was a clever fashion idea to wear one part of my hair down. So after my mom brushed it, I told her, "You don't need to put in the second band." And she said, "It's going to look uneven." I said, "I know, I want it to." So to her credit, after checking that I was saying what I wanted, she let me go. I walked to school just comfortable as could be with one half of my hair up, the other long blonde half down. So when I got to school, a classmate, told me I looked very pretty, but looks like maybe you lost one of your ponytail holders, maybe when you were walking to school or something. She said it so tactfully, and I remember assessing the situation and deciding I didn't really need to explain my choice, so I just said, "Oh." She gave me a hairband, a brown headband that her sister had given her, and I remember thinking that I should accept it. It was a genuine offer and something that should be acknowledged. What happened was it began a slow erosion of sharing my creativity, of speaking up, of asserting that I know who I am and what I'm doing. So that in fourth grade, when a classmate felt the need to prove his masculinity to an alpha in our friend group, by smashing my brand new Stars and Stripes lunchbox that had a nice carrying strap and a thermos that could stand up. I could only stand there on the playground looking at both boys that I almost always beat in contests, wondering where the teacher was. I got a new lunchbox the next day, but what I didn't get was an apology, nor did I receive any guidance for how to handle these types of situations. I understood the situation, but I had chosen that lunchbox and it was the only one at the store. So that in seventh grade, I excitedly walked out of science classroom and greeted my friend and said, "Hey, guess what?" And I proceeded to impart all this exciting science information that I had just learned. She wasn't very impressed. She called me crazy, and I was like, "No, mister." She wasn't interested. So that in 12th grade, I lost a college scholarship challenge to a friend who could articulate her response with more ease than I could. My body has always known that there is something I'm accepting that I don't need to. a tummy ache when a teacher isn't exactly kind or understanding, a sore throat when a friend becomes an occasional bully, a flu when it all becomes overwhelming. Experiences turn my nervous system into a vigilance where safety became complicated rather than assumed. A friend who pushed my head at a water fountain, an adult in authority giving me unsolicited, unwanted attention, a spouse whose anger crossed the line into harm. Sleepless nights before new events, scanning scenes for exit points, swallowing complaints and not being able to eat. The exhaustion of living appeared as a weakness for me to overcome until I found information about regulation techniques and began actually applying them. I began to breathe with intention, to direct my nervous system into alignment so that my body is guiding me rather than betraying me. I discovered that listening to the body is not a single act, but a relationship based on patience, curiosity, and trust. I froze when my friend smashed my new lunchbox, when my friend pushed me, when my friend choked me, and my voice began to waver as the persistence in me still wanted to assert my truth. My neck began shaking as I still wanted to speak up for what I deserve. Cherished. I don't want to have to earn my keep. I want to be kept safe, a modern-day relic of everlasting love and adoration by one who has learned how to handle a delicate piece of art. I've lived much of my life in survival mode, getting through days of being ignored, waiting for someone's anger to subside, making sure others' needs were met as much as I could, despite feeling I had nothing to offer. There's been frustration with wondering why I became last, why I was not enough. Occasionally, when perhaps at a loss for words, my mom would ask aloud, "What is wrong with you?" Well, she probably didn't realize that I'd internalized that and used it for a checklist for why people didn't show up for me, why those I love keep me in the back of their thoughtfulness. When she died at home, arranging her exit as best she could, the rug I'd begun to weave underneath me during my 15 years of widowhood began to unravel. It tossed me into an uncertainty. I felt like I was in a bouncy house with a full bladder. I wrote a booklet of poems for her, and that helped me feel what I wanted to feel, to process some emotions and address some of the losses. And I've since then embraced that grief is an it's not unwanted, it's unfinished love, actually. And I'm very lucky to have had people in my life that I don't think I will never grieve again. However, the untethering brought about some physical symptoms, resulting in an opted-in ovarian surgery this past year that left me with some unresolved motherhood, core emotions, and insecurities that I've been addressing as I recover. It also left me further in the hole I'd been digging into houselessness. While lying in the back of my CRV, I pondered how humans have always been trying to survive on the daily. Some of us with better shelter, some of us with stronger communities, and some of us with wiser outlooks. I recognize that, one, I don't have to feel less than in order to belong, and in fact, I belong enough to warrant shelter and protection. Two, I can accept myself and belong to the address that is myself. Despite sleeping in temporary spaces and living in fears of not enough, there is nothing wrong with me such that I'm unacceptable. Each morning I wake up is a morning for me to be. Dawn. Morning has broken, but my spirit is not renewed. I'm not shamed into feeling. Morning has broken, and I'm alive in the ruins of yesterdays. Dawn has arrived as a friend lost in an overnight semblance of stardust, welcoming my concerns as sprinkles and twinkles left from the meteor of my emotional bag of rocks knocking, plonking along my rickety skeleton's closet. Dawn has arrived into a new chance to walk tall and true, full of virtue and resolve, to leave the burdens I carry tied in a tidy cloth wrap called past. I've recently begun painting, uncapping some stifled creativity these past 2 years. I'm no means a skilled artist like my incredibly talented offspring, but I'm becoming skilled in an artistry of my own. I heard you, Rana. Having walked through such discomfort as shame, trauma, loss, I know there is another side to everything. So I reclaim my creative self and offer it, even if it is to 10 people on social media or one of my 4 kids. But also, just this past year alone, I've had a poetry piece displayed in an art gallery, 2 paintings sold at a fundraiser, and posted myself singing my own composition. Pushing myself, supporting myself is my next level of caring for others. What I have to say matters. Who I am matters. I'm a tutor because I love watching understanding arrive in the eyes of another person. I'm a poet because words insist. And I'm a mother because I adore seeing life unfold. These all add up to the gentle soul that is Gina. There's more. But thank you. My life has found that revelations rarely come with fanfare. They arrive on a vineyard patio with herbal tea and gentle poses that recall origins of neck pain and tears of betrayal. They arrive with the sweeping of pine needles on a deck that clears space for the joys of everyday living. They arrive at open mics where everyone has a say. Mainly, I find them sitting at rivers, walking through trails, chatting with people at coffee shops. A revelation of significance for me came as I wrote my thoughts that might turn into this speech. I was fortunate enough to have many opportunities to swim growing up, and this metaphor came to me as I wondered why it seems that nobody wants to hear me. I was feeling a little let down by the limited number of shares my posts and work get, my unanswered text messages to family. When I got a picture of diving into the deep end of a pool and the weight of treading underwater alone. That loneness, that singular space where nobody else is there to interfere with what you're doing, seemed so profound to me because I understood that I'm not a mess around in the shallow end kind of person. I like deep. I like exploring boundaried unknowns. So, not everyone is going to swim with me. It's up to me to find my way to the top so that I can breathe. Even if my throat is scratchy from the chlorine I accidentally swallowed on my way up. My voice is allowed to speak where it needs to and where it chooses. So now I hum more frequently, both as a practice to warm up my vocal cords and settle my nervous system, as well as just because I like making sounds and I can. I feel like I lost a page. Excuse me. Just this. Destiny is a road offering choices of places I've been, places I'll go, with a clear start, a straight shot into an unknown, guided from above, as I stroll along, certain in my uncertainties. I'm aware that what I know now can change tomorrow. Living is change. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with my neck shaking like leaves on a windy day, or my stomach burbling like a brook on a small forest hike, if it means I'm approaching something that matters to me. I'm getting better at acknowledging those signs, They're reminders for me that I'm part of life that seeks growth and awareness. I'd like to share my latest painting that I call Feelings, because painting it allowed me to unstick some emotions that I couldn't name. It allowed me to open up some pain that was beginning to settle back into my body. I didn't want that. So here we go. Thank you. I'll put that right there. I've lived seasons of being unheard and undervalued, of surviving rather than living well. I've carried grief, guilt, and shame. As I unwrap these patterns and rewrite my story's lines, I realize I'm not here to perform perfection. I'm here to practice truth. I invite you to take a deep breath with me. Thank you. Retreat. Did you know who was hiding underneath all of the pain and shame? Where have you been, my you, my me? There's a we of you and me, and I'm glad I've found the me that I have sought. Thank you.